think we're yes, we are recording. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Out of the Fast Lane podcast. I am your host, Brady Hauser. On today's show, we got Blaine Perkins, a NASCAR Camping World Truck Series driver, currently full time in the number nine, races weekly. Got to race Bristol Dirt just last week. We'll talk about that here in a second, and a little bit of his insight, and get to talk all things in and outside of the fast lane. So we just got back from Bristol last week. I was actually in attendance. One of the best tracks I think I've ever been to, hands down, especially on dirt, coming from a dirt background. Blaine, you raced it. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, so I mean, I thought that was my first time at Bristol as well, and the environment of everything was just pretty cool. I mean, that racetrack, it's a lot cooler in person than it is in, say, like on TV. It's so big, it's pretty cool. Um, Now running dirt on it, that was a big difference for me. I don't come from a dirt background, so it was a big learning experience for me, but it was still fun. I mean, it's something that kind of a wild card in the schedule throughout the year, and hopefully I learned quite a bit there and can take some of it and move on to Knoxville and be a little better.
So have you, after you've never raced dirt before?
I've ran a very few races in a legend car on dirt this year, but that was just kind of in preparation for Bristol.
Ah, so was that any getting to try the Legends car? Was that I'm sure it definitely was different coming from a little Legends car to a truck. Was the how did the truck handle, in your opinion?
I think it was a good idea to kind of test the legend car. I take a different perspective than some people. They're both not really meant to be on dirt. So as opposed to going into testing a dirt late model or a dirt modified, they both kind of handled similarly, like in the way of they're just not meant to be there. Everything about it is just a little bit slower and it's not meant to be so sideways. So I was able to use a little bit of that, but then again, it's still a 3,500 pound stock car and there's a lot of differences. But I had a good time figuring it all out.
And you definitely had a close call coming to the finish. They were piling up right in front of you. Did you get up on the brake on that, or did you just keep going through it? Were you
I
full full throttle, I should say, or did you let off?
I actually ended up doing a 360 and kept going. So I was kind of involved in it, not really. We finished. I think we lost one spot because of it, but honestly, I don't even know, and I never saw a replay of it, so I don't really know what even happened.
Were you nervous when you got turned sideways? Did that 360 like that? Was that make you nervous at all?
No, I was just trying to get across the line as fast as I could, and I was downshifting, trying to figure out. I knew the line was somewhere in front of me, and I just wanted to get past it and then worry about everything else later.
Hey, I mean, if you're gonna get across the line, might as well do it in style.
Exactly.
So you come from you started in the K&N series, but I want to talk a little bit before that. Uh, what got you into the racing world?
Yeah, so my start in racing kind of happened. I was racing like indoor go-karts, kind of like everybody. My dad had a league with a bunch of his buddies from work, and eventually, when I was about 8 years old, they let me join. And when I was about 9 or 10, I started beating them. So once that kind of happened, I realized it was something I was good at and I really enjoyed. And from there, I got into go-karts, running SCUSA races, IKF races back in the day. And from there, I kind of went to the more oval NASCAR side, to Bandoleros, legend cars, and then to stock cars racing, late models, modified racing, K&N, bunch of different cars.
Mhm. So obviously, racing indoor go-karts, that's definitely interesting way to bring yourself into the racing world. What did your dad say when you beat him back in the day?
I think he just realized that I really liked it. And from there, I think the next step was to kind of go to an actual go-kart track in Bakersfield from where I'm from. And that was really when I decided, like, okay, this is something serious now. It's not just beating and banging around at an indoor go-kart track. But um, from there, we started going traveling a little bit more and winning some races. And that's when I really decided to kind of take it a lot more seriously and pursue this as a career option.
So tell me a little bit of how you got brought up into the K&N world, and obviously introduced into NASCAR. How did that whole process work, and how did you make your way up into the NASCAR ranks?
Yeah. So when I was 14 at the time, I was racing late models full time for High Point Racing. And we had a couple wins that year. and was just trying to figure out what the next best step was. Back then, the NASCAR Canadian Pro Series West was a really hot series, a lot of really good race car drivers in it, and just kind of seemed like it was either there or super late model racing was next. And at the end of, I think it was 2015, I made my first start at Roseville with Bill McIntyre Racing. And from there, I kind of realized that I really enjoyed the full size stock cars, the bigger stock cars, and went full time racing for another Bakersfield team of Steve Portier Racing the following year for 2 years, actually.
Steve Poirier, is that what you said?
Yep, Steve Portier.
Oh, Portnier. Okay, because I'm thinking of Steve Poirier, the sprint car racer, a dirt racing background.
Oh,
Because
different.
his kid was actually on the stage for the Bristol Dirt race. He was one of the Pinty's like drivers of the year, or whatever. Got to shake everybody's hands coming to driver intros. I don't know.
Gotcha.
So that's pretty cool. You get brought up into NASCAR in a pretty nice way. Then you got into your first year at K&N. How'd your first year in the K&N go? Did it go as expected? Did you struggle? How did that go?
Yeah, I mean, I was young at the time. I was only 15. So I knew there was going to be a little bit of a learning curve. I felt like it went well, though. I mean, we trying to think back. I think we led some practice sessions, had some top five runs, and um, racing it seems like Sunrise Ford and Bill McAnally Racing. I think it was Jefferson Pitts back in the day. So there was a lot of competition. I mean, I raced with drivers like Noah Gragson, Grayson Raz, Todd Gill, and Chris Eggleston, a lot of really good names, a lot of really good race car drivers. So I feel like even by racing against those guys and maybe not necessarily winning races those 2 years, just by being against such good competition, definitely helped me improve as a race car driver and led to my successes throughout my career.
So then you get called up to the Xfinity Series for Our Motorsports. First of all, I want to know what that call was like to get you to come race the Xfinity Series, and then what you were thinking when you got first asked to come race the Xfinity car.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, it's something I've watched my entire life, and it's a different lifestyle to racing. I mean, um, then again, it's just that next level, that next competitiveness, the next build. Really, it was kind of a dream at the time. I was still living in Bakersfield, running Arca West for Price Board at the time, and decided to move all the way here to Mooresville. Kind of take a really big shot at this. It's a big deal to move across the country for something, and to be able to do that and have the opportunity to do that. What was that last year with Our Motorsports and having the successes we did? So just definitely a big changing point in my life, but I'm definitely happy that I was able to do it and hopefully just keep going.
Hmm. And you even got to pick up a stage win, I remember last season as well at Talladega. So that's pretty cool as well.
Yeah, it was pretty cool for sure.
So now you're with the truck team with number 9 with Cody Robaugh. Um, so coming into the season, first time in a truck for you. You went to Daytona. How did everything go at Daytona?
Yeah, so at Daytona, our strategy was kind of wait for the big one to happen.
Yeah,
Honestly,
and
that
it
was
did.
took, and it never really happened until the last lap.
Yeah.
So at some point, you kind of have to go, and we decided to go. I don't know, maybe 15 laps to go, and we were running. I think 10th coming to the white flag when the big wreck happened. And unfortunately, we didn't quite get to the start finish line because had we, I think we would have finished 10th or 12th, wrecked, but still would have finished decent. Instead, we were done and we ended up with a 31st place finish, I think. So, matter of inches. I mean, realistically, that's what it
Oh
is. And
yeah.
that's Daytona for you for sure.
And like they were like, because I was there, it was like just shy of the start finish line. They started wrecking, and somehow they went into overtime one more time. If it would have happened like 20 feet later, whoever got through would have won the race. So that was definitely chaotic as a fan. I know probably for you as a driver, it's a lot more stressful. Probably your heart's beating pretty fast when the guy up in front of you, the leader gets turned right in front of everybody, knowing it's gonna be big. Did it?
Smoke, you can't see much, so just kind of hope and pray to get through it.
And I'm sure it's tough. Is it like? Is it like? I can't. How do you even describe being in a big one? In your words, how can you describe being in a big one?
you don't really think about it. It's just so instinct driven. I mean, you're
So
going
quick
so fast.
too.
Things happen so fast, exactly, that you just kind of make a decision and hope that it was the right one. And sometimes there isn't a right one, and that's kind of how our situation was. We missed kind of the first part of the wreck. Some of the guys in front of us ended up getting turned and into the outside wall, and I went low, got underneath all that, and then unfortunately, I think it was the 16 that was sitting there dead sideways in front of us, and knocked the radiator out of it, and that was the end of our day.
Yeah, and he was the one that initially got turned. That's Tyler Ankrum in the 16. Yeah, he got turned right away. He got turned coming to white, but I don't even know. I don't remember the wreck. I just remember him being the first one turned. So I can only imagine what he was thinking when that when that happened. You're leading the pack, thinking, okay, white flag, I'm feeling comfortable. All of a sudden, you're getting turned to the outside wall, and you can see all the cars coming at you.
That's
Probably not a good feeling.
the feeling for sure. Kind of a sitting duck there.
So going into Bristol Dirt, you mentioned that where you got the Chester Legends car. Um, what did you guys know as a team? Were you guys prepared for the Truck Series race of the Dirt? Was it kind of new for your guys' team? How did
I
that
think,
go?
I, I think it's still new for everybody. I mean, yeah, I think it's their second year at Bristol now. And they even changed a little parts to the track this year. I think they added more banking to the top line. So for the truck race, especially, you saw a big difference with the night race and the increase of banking. It wasn't more single file towards the line, towards the bottom line. It was definitely a lot more multi groove up against the wall, all the way to the bottom, just kind of slick track everywhere. Is kind of what I was thinking. But I mean, yeah, we just took it step by step, and we knew as a team I was going to have to learn a lot in practice. So we made as many laps as we could, and then trying to make changes to the car and to the truck and keep messing that one up. But um, just trying to stay up with the changes on the truck and um, make sure we had the best truck possible for the end of the race.
So this is actually one of the pictures I happened to take down there at Bristol.
It's pretty
So
cool.
was that your first time heat racing like that? Have you been in heat races before, or was that your kind of your first time?
First time in stock cars, I think. Um, I think I used to do it in like legend cars way back in the day, in like the SRL tour, but it was a long time ago. I like it. I think it's kind of interesting. It throws a little more excitement in there for the fans, for sure.
Mhm. Is it harder for you as a driver to prepare for a heat race knowing that you have a 200 lap feature ahead of you? Is it a little more stressful for the 8 laps that you're on track or the 200?
It's just a different mindset. I mean, you still have to kind of understand that you're not going to take the same exact risks as you would coming to the checkered of a heat race as you would coming to the checkered of a 200 lap race.
Hmm. And obviously, the pressure of qualifying too has got to be a little different as well. But it's definitely pretty cool that you got the race on the dirt. That's kind of where I came from. I grew up in a dirt background. Um, so I was reading the other day, and you made a post on your Instagram and your Facebook and all your social media platforms, which we'll plug in a little bit. Your Darlington throwback. It's I'll let you tell us a little bit about that. I thought it was pretty cool, so I'll let you take it away. Talk about
Yeah.
that.
So for this year, we're throwing it back to my crew chief, Doug George, um, who was a truck series driver early in his career, middle 90s, I think it was, before my time. But it's just kind of a cool throwback, obviously because he's my crew chief, but because it was kind of the same scenario I'm in. I mean, it was early in his truck series career. He had just come from the West Coast racing out there. Even the number and 21 on his truck, that's kind of always been my number from go karts, my picked number. But obviously I run the 9 now, but just kind of another cool little factor to it. And it's just something cool. I mean, the crew guys love Doug. He's so passionate about it. He's definitely probably one of the most fiery crew chiefs out there if you ever listen to our radio. But he has such a passion for the sport, and I think our guys really love him for that. And it's just kind of having them all gather behind this throwback and surprising him a little bit with it for him, and it's been a pretty cool experience all in all.
Is it fun for you guys as the drivers getting to race these throwbacks? Of course, throwing it back to back in the day when all the legends in the sport. They kind of paved the way for you guys to come race nowadays, getting the throwback to them and kind of honor them. Is that I'm sure that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. I mean, I've never been a part of this weekend before, so it'll be kind of new for me, and I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, be a little bit different with not knowing every all your competitors, maybe with the different paint scheme changes. I think that's something that will be a little interesting, but I think just the garage embraces it, and everybody around the sport loves it, and it's definitely good for the sport.
So you've never been to Darlington.
I have not, no,
So are you ready to get your Darlington stripe?
no, it'll definitely happen. I can guarantee that.
So have you gotten to test anything, getting ready for Darlington? Getting
I've just been kind of testing some iRacing stuff. I've already watched the Truck Series race footage from the past few years, over the past week or so, kind of preparing for it, and then just trying to do everything I can with iRacing and just be as best prepared for when I go there. Obviously, it's different in real life, but just trying to do everything I can pre-race to help speed up the process and practice and qualify as best as we can and go out there and have a good finish for Doug and all the guys.
No, that's awesome. All right, well, I'm gonna ask you some of the questions I ask a lot of my guests. So this one's gonna throw you a little bit on the
Okay,
spot.
I think I'm ready.
Um, if there is a racing Mount Rushmore, who is in the racing Mount Rushmore?
Okay, so first off, really embarrassing question. How many faces are on Mount Rushmore?
Oh boy.
I should definitely know that.
All right, we're gonna have to look this up for you.
Okay.
I know
I'm
it,
glad you
but
don't know.
I know it, but I'm gonna look it up for you just
Oh,
so that you can that you know this.
come on now. Is it 4 or 5? I think it's 4. Yeah, okay.
Four.
Uh,
So who is in the racing Mount Rushmore if you had to pick those for four drivers?
Okay. Um, hmm. I think you got to go Dale Sr. Then you got to go Ayrton Senna. Um, Let me think here.
It's definitely putting you on the spot. I know. I've asked a lot of people this, and they're always like really have to think about it.
I think the other two I'll put is Jimmy Johnson and Lewis Hamilton.
That's pretty fair. So coming from a dirt background, I have two. Obviously for the ask,
I'm a little biased there. Sorry about that.
hey, it's an interesting question. I love asking a lot of drivers it just to see what they have to think about it. For the asphalt right now, Dale Senior, yeah, what's his name? Oh no, I'm losing it.
Oh no.
Richard Petty, Jimmy Johnson, and if I have to go with a present day driver, Kyle Larson. He's pretty dominant right now. And then
Oh, yeah.
for dirt, Jumping Jack Johnson, Scott Bloomquist, Steve Kinzer, and Brian Clausen. There's your four for the dirt side.
There's some good
But
names.
that is definitely a question I like to ask because a lot of drivers are like, really, that's a good question. Not a lot of people ask that, so I figured I would throw that in there.
Yeah, other than you just have to throw me on the spot here and ask a
Hey,
question.
it's part of the podcast, and
Exactly.
I'm not gonna lie, you kind of made yourself look like a fool, but you know what? Now you know that there's four heads on Mount Rushmore. You
Yeah.
learned something.
Now I'm hot a little bit, but it's okay.
So, if you could race against anybody, past or present, who would it be?
I would probably say so. Present, I'm gonna say Sebastian Vettel because I'm a big Vettel fan. I always have been since his Red Bull days. Kind of when he was kind of dominating right when I started getting into go karting and everything. And I think Red Bull racing was just really cool back in the day. And I've always been a big Vettel fan, even through Ferrari and Aston Martin now. So he'd probably be my current driver, and then old school driver. I think I'd have to say Dale Senior. I mean,
Oh yeah,
getting moved by Dale Senior is something you could always.
absolutely. For me, like I said, past and definitely, I agree with you there. It would be Dale Senior, of course, the legend, the Intimidator, the one of the greatest that's been in the NASCAR sport. And then present, he is one of your fellow competitors in the truck series. He's local. I interviewed him last night at a local dirt track. He picked up a $12,000 check. I would say Stuart Friesen.
I gotcha. Yeah.
I actually hopped in so I did the Richard Petty experience like 2 years ago, and I hopped in a car with him at Daytona. Tell you what, it takes a lot of courage. I gain a whole nother level of respect for the drivers out on the tractor in Daytona, because I couldn't imagine getting turned into the outside wall in a turn just because of how banking is. Like you're in the bank and you're just leaning like this the entire time. It's like, how are we not flipping? Because he was going, and those cars have lower downforce because they're meant for people like an average Joe like me to hop in it and wheel it for a little bit. So they're lower downforce, so you can really feel like the car tilting and stuff in the turn. Man, I gained a lot of respect for them guys, a lot of you guys for that. But yeah, that's awesome. Um, so Vettel. I'll have to look that up. I'm not very familiar with the Formula One side. I don't. I am more of a NASCAR fanatic than that. But next question. Um, growing up, favorite racing memory.
I'm trying to think here. My favorite racing memory, probably my first late model win. Oh boy, there's my dog. In case you can't hear him, he wants to come downstairs. But yeah, I would say my favorite racing memory was probably my first late model win. I was 14. It was towards the end of the year when I started racing. I raced like the last 5 races, and I think it was my third or fourth weekend out. We ended up winning, and um, there was a big championship battle going on. They were running first and second, and I was able to pass them both and get the win. So it was just a big deal for me at the time. And I was the youngest winner at Irwindale in late model history for a while until it finally got broke a couple years ago. So that was cool. But just definitely one I won't forget.
That's awesome. Um, well, I'm not gonna keep you here all night. I know you've got definitely a busy schedule. Is there anything you want to know about me or the channel or anything like that?
Not really. Just you got my number now, and anytime you want to do a podcast or something like that, I love coming on,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
talking racing. So for sure, just always hit me up.
So, what do you think about Talladega this past weekend?
Which race?
All of them, just in
Okay,
general.
gotcha. The ARC race was wild with cars flying.
Oh yeah, that was my actually Brayton Laster, who was the one that got launched over the top of. He came on the show a couple weeks ago and was telling me about Daytona, and he was ready to go for um to go for Talladega. And man, when he got on that race car, because I was listening to his scanner at home, and I could tell that scared him
Yeah,
for
I'm sure.
sure. And
And then
and I would like to throw in there for everybody that is watching our home. Our prayers are with Scott Melton and his family. He got pretty badly injured in that wreck, unfortunately. But that's restrictor plate racing. Luckily, he's going to be okay. But I just want to throw out there our prayers are with him and his family during this time. But back to what you were saying.
yeah, absolutely. For sure on the side of prayers for Scott and his whole family. But yeah, I would probably say it was a pretty cool finish there for Ross Chastain.
Yeah, it was.
Kind of seas parted, and it was his day to
Blaine's dog is having. What did your dog doing back there?
win. We have a gate put up, so he doesn't like it when the gate's up and he can't come down here.
Yeah, I think the coolest part, honestly. I mean, I like Justin Allgaier, so it's a shame that he ran out of gas on that one restart. But Jeffrey Earnhardt, I mean, in the RCR three, where did he was 10th on that restart and made his way up to second. And I think if he would have gave him probably if he had a good push behind him, I think coming to that line, he might have been able to give Noah at least a photo finish. And I thought that was a pretty cool story because Larry Mack, of course, being on the pit box, cool to have them there. Him him and Larry, obviously they have a little bit of a connection together. So for them to finish second, and then of course afterwards with Jeffrey going up to Noah and Victor Lane, I thought that was pretty good for sportsmanship, and I just think that was an overall cool story as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Obviously, I raced with Noah, so happy to see him win. And like you said, just that Black 3 coming back is pretty cool, and seeing Larry Mack on the pit box and just a different perspective. Even doing the interviews to him throughout the race and getting kicked. I think he told Clint Boyer at one point that he's got to go do his job. So just cool. I think it's good for the sport and brings a lot of fans to it for sure.
And it brings back memories for a lot of fans too. I mean, looking back at Dale Senior, the 3 car, and of course Jeffrey having the last name Earnhardt brings back a lot of memories, and having that 3 car there and Larry Mack on the up on the pit stand, he definitely made RCR proud and all the fans around the world proud. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Any sponsors, people you want to shout out?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, we've got Raceline. They've been with us all year, and everybody at CR7, they've been working hard. Not been the greatest to start to the year. Just had a little unfortunate luck, man. Broken transmissions and just a couple wrecks here and there. So I think we have speed. We're just waiting to still show it all. So hoping we have a good race here at Darlington. Getting back to some ovals here. I think we have a 9-race week stretch. So kind of lock in here, get some good points going, and have some strong finishes.
Absolutely. So I'm going to give you just a couple shout outs here. Shout out to Parks Companies, proud sponsor of our channel. Thanks for all that they do. Tab Parks, great guy. Mikey Jackson, Swagger Factory Apparel, made these awesome shirts. Contact him for any fire suits, gloves, or anything that you need for anybody around here or around the world. We got to give a shout out, you and me both. Candace Hornaday, she kind of got you and me linked together to do this podcast, so that's awesome, and a huge shout out to her. Austin Terrio, he's also another one we got a shout out. He was the one that introduced me to quite a few of the drivers I'm going to be interviewing this week. And with that said, stay tuned for this week, everybody that's watching at home. We got Emma Brett coming on the show tomorrow, which will be interesting. She is actually 15 years old, and she's making an impact in the asphalt world, making her way through the ranks. And then Wednesday, coming off his big ARCA West Series win, Landon Lewis will be coming on the show, so that'll be awesome. And stay tuned for those. And Blaine, I'm gonna let you throw out your social medias quick, and then we'll wrap this up.
Yeah, so you guys can follow me at my website, blaineperkins.com. It has all my social media links to it, but also my social media links are just Blaine Racing 21 on both Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You guys can find me on there for sure. And then I got a question for you to ask Landon, though. I just had to throw that part in there.
Okay. So what do you want me to ask Landon?
You should ask him where he got some of his tips from for Kern. He'll love that one.
Some of his tips.
Secret tips.
Secret tips. All right, let me write that. I'm gonna put that in my phone, just so I remember that.
No, I race legend cars with him, and that I've gotten to meet Candace and Austin and Landon and all those guys throughout the years, or throughout the past year or two. So cool to see him win this year or this weekend at my home track at Kern County Raceway.
All right, we'll see. I'll ask him that, and we'll see where that goes.
Yeah,
we'll see where that goes. But overall, Blaine, I appreciate you coming on the show. Best of luck to you rest of the season, Darlington. Go kick some butt out there. And thanks again for coming on. I appreciate it. I'm going to talk to you after here in a minute. But again, one more time for everybody watching at home, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you go back and check out all of our interviews that we've done in the past. Of course, like I said, just last night we interviewed Stuart Friesen at Honda Speedway after his big win in the Jumpin' Jack Johnson Memorial Race. So go check that out, along with some other local drivers like Sean Hemstreet, Jeremy Tyrell, and others. So go check those interviews out. There's interviews from Albany, Saratoga this past Friday as well. And a lot of interviews from back in the past as well. I know we got some from Volusia, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, some of the bigger names. Or if you go back in the video on my video page, you'll find all of the videos. And you can go back. I know this is probably going to sound crazy for all you fans at home, but you can even go back to my first interview with Landon Castle and 13-year-old Brady and how nervous he was. So other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And click that blue bell. You won't miss a notification whenever we post. It'll be right next to the subscribe button. It's free. You can always unsubscribe if you want. But it'll help me out. So other than that, I appreciate y'all coming on. Blaine, it's been a pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, Blaine Perkins, driver of the number 9 Camberwell Truck Series truck. And like I said, hope you enjoyed. And we will see you in the next one. Take care.